scoff at.
Yeah, no. Tiger is.
You're watching the Eternal Tournament Series.
Hello again, and here we are for round number 4. We're going to give you guys a quick update on the standings. Again, my name is Mark, aka Chibikawaii, and I'm with my co-host, who is going to give you the standing updates.
Yep, Gabe, also known as Calimdir here. I just wanted to give you a little update on the brackets. We have aReNGee and Tony G, who we saw earlier, playing respectively Big Combre and Film Control at 3-0. And then also at 3-0, who we haven't had featured yet, Level 13 David and Ilunga, who are also, longtime tournament players. Level 13 David on Elysian mid-range, and Ilunga on a really spicy Mono Justice Hero of the People Oathbook deck. And he's at 3-0 there. So I just
God,
wanted
that
to
sounds
give that
amazing.
an update. And for you guys now, we're going to have HiThar versus camat0, who are both at 2-1. I believe it is Big Combre? Yeah, Big Combre versus Rakano Armory. Rakano Armory, not Rakano Plate, Rakano Armory.
Yeah, so this should be pretty interesting. Who do you think's favored? I'll cede to you.
I have to take a look at this Rakano Armory list to really decide. I think Armory is generally favored versus Combre, but that's usually because of a lot of what Shadow brings, and that traditional Armory style of deck just is very good versus Combre. You're losing a lot of the card advantage, and you can see he has Assembly Line in his opening hand. It's really interesting. I think he's probably going to redraw that hand, right? That's going to be very difficult to cast any cards there.
Yeah, we're looking, and then what's the HiThar's hand's a little. I have to imagine we'll see a mulligan from HiThar, and then or is that camat0's hand we'll see a mulligan. HiThar's hand does look pretty good. I think we're about ready to jump in. We can analyze the sideboards in between games. So yeah, I would say let's should we go ahead and get the players started?
I believe so. I think they received word to go ahead. So Seraph is pretty good, and Great Parliament are pretty good.
Oh,
he's shipping not so good, right? So
no.
The reason he wanted to ship that back, I think, was because he really only had 2 cards in that hand, and then Power and Harsh Rule, right? So this hand is a little bit better. I think Vanquish has a little more value in the matchup than Harsh Rule. Not killing your own units, definitely an upside.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Though, like, the fact that it had Seraph, it would make me want to be a little bit greedier to keep it. Seraph is generally pretty good against a lot of the weapons, minus Auric Runehammer. And are we okay? So HiThar is playing Combre Healer, which I truly feel like is one of the best cards in the matchup. So
yeah, Combre Healer is great.
Maybe mulliganing to try to get that as well.
Yeah, I think he just knows his deck. He's been playing this deck for a long time. HiThar is a long-time Big Combre player, and he felt like there were a lot better hands he could have gotten, and he did get a better hand.
Yeah, the 2 Seraphs is really nice. The Valkyrie Enforcer not doing a ton right now, and the Assembly Line is a super interesting addition to the Rakano Armory. I have to imagine that's for the aggro matchups, right?
Yeah, it's for the aggro matchups, and I think it does a pretty good job of protecting your weapons.
Yeah. I guess in the mirror as well, right?
Yeah. Also, Valkyrie Enforcer gets a little bit of flack here, I guess, but it's quite good versus Armory because it's a flying threat and it can pop Aegis. So it gets around blockers like Rakano Artisan and Throne Warden, and it pops Aegis. Like I think it's Valkyrie Enforcer is definitely a very good card and is still very good in this matchup.
Yeah, and we do see, looking over at camat0's hand, he's got 2 Charge Chain foils of Vanquish and the Akari in hand. He's got the influence for the Akari, he just needs to draw a few more power. And we could see, that Valkyrie Enforcer just becoming a very, very important to that. All right, or we're just going to have it run out.
So I'm looking over camat0's list. He's running 4 copies of Ikaria and 0 copies of Daisho.
I'm a fan of that. I think Daisho for me personally is just very underwhelming unless you're in a heavy Chalice meta or you're playing against a deck that's got a lot of tiny units where you can actually get the 2 hits out of the die show, because a lot of times I just feel like the die show you get 1 hit out of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think with without stash, die show loses a little bit of value.
I would agree with that too. Obviously,
also,
the
sorry.
Go ahead.
He's running no Recano Artisans.
Bold move, Cotton. I'm curious to see how it pays off. But yeah, that is definitely interesting. I'm genuinely curious to see how this match actually plays out.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Recano control list. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, and I had a line that I was going to say. Don't remember the line, so we're going to move on. This protect is still going to be very nice.
Line? Was it assembly line?
It was. It might have been an assembly line. But given this Kari that's probably going to come down very, very soon, this protect is actually going to be huge. The Desert Marshal also helps here, but being able to pop that Aegis and then immediately the next turn following it up with Vanquish is going to be very, very nice. The issue with that, though, is that +5 Warcry is already going to be on the deck. So Akari at least given a little bit of value.
This is, the more I think about this matchup, the more interesting it is, right? This deck, camat0 is trying to hang out, not die, remove things, and then just play Akarius until you win, right?
It's a reasonable strategy, I feel like.
Yeah, Akarius is a very good card. And so it's one of the most reliable win cons in the game. It does something the turn is played. It's difficult to remove, requires 2 answers, and generates value as it's on the board. That's pretty much everything you want out of a control finisher. And so playing 4 is like a reasonable, and I understand why he's taking that route. So the question is how good are HiThar's answers to Ikarius, right? So he's in a deck with Desert Marshal, Combray Healer, Valkyrie Enforcer. All those pop Aegis and generate a body. He's also in a deck with Vanquish and Harsh Rule. All of those answer Ikaria. But Harsh Rule's not the greatest answer.
Yeah, and Arcaria is always going to be a 2-for-1. And that's the important thing. And especially with that Harsh Rule line, you need something to pop that Aegis. Otherwise, you're just playing a Harsh Rule and getting almost no value out of it. This great Parliament from HiThar, though, HiThar is probably what's going to break this game wide open.
Well, camat0 is running Harsh Rule. He could have that in his hand. I think that just kills him because of Protect, but this is looking really bad for camat0 here, actually.
Yeah. All right, so then we're going to see the Torch, and there's the Protect, and this should be game.
Yeah, this should be game. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So camat0, we don't know what his last 2 cards are because I believe his stream cut out.
Unfortunately.
But yeah, he needed Harsh Rule or something there to get through that, or a Rune Hammer or something.
All right, let's see what they got in the sideboards. Let's see if the matchup gets any better for either one of the decks.
Yeah. The last thing I wanted to say is that Sandstorm Titan is a very good answer to Ikaria, right?
Yes, it is.
Playing 4 of that.
Yeah, and then the also a great answer to these Soulfire Drakes that I'm seeing in the board for camat0. I have to mention these 4 Valkyrie Enforcers that camat0's got in their board are going to be coming in.
Yeah, I think overall, I mean, that's kind of how it worked out game 1. camat0 just didn't really draw. He drew the 1 Ikaria, it got answered, and then he didn't get to draw the Warcry thing, and he doesn't have the card selection of Warrior or card value of Stash, so he kind of just ran out of answers. But I think Big Combray is actually just favored in this matchup. I think that what camat0's trying to do is just a little bit too slow. Big Combray is a deck that can turn on the aggro when it wants to very quickly.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that, especially since we are saying I can't imagine more Protects are coming in, because Protect is basically there to ensure against Bolt. Well, I guess you got Bolt Torch and Vanquish.
From which side?
Oh, for HiThar. I'm looking through to see what HiThar is might be looking to bring in. Decay might be reasonable. Looks like he actually is bringing in two of his Decays. Since we still have access to their stream. So it looks like, yeah, you're bringing in the 2 decays. Anything else you want out of that board?
Yeah, so I think the reason Protect comes out is because of Stand Together,
Mhm.
and then he's mostly just trying to figure out what he wants to cut because he's got cards to, like he's running Xenon Obelisk in his main deck, so that also made the matchup slightly more favorable. Now he has 3 Xenon Obelisks, which Armory does not ever want to see.
No.
I think yeah, and you take out Protect because of Stand Together, so he's just going for this. He's going for beats. He's going to play units. He's going to play Obelisk, and he's going to stand together when you try to harsh roll, and that's very difficult for weapons to deal with because weapons have a lot of trouble with multiple units, and that's why you run harsh rule in the deck. And if you answer harsh rule, then you don't have answers anymore, right? Your weapons cannot answer a board full of units, and when harsh rule is negated or blocked or whatever, you're just you don't have an answer to that.
Yeah, it's not looking great from that point. And then, yeah, I'm looking at the camat0 sideboard. You might want to bring them the Soulfire Drakes, but those kind of pair up pretty poorly against Vanquish and Sandstorm Titan. Granted, you do get the Entomb trigger. Furnace Mage doesn't seem like it's doing much here. The Valkyrie Enforcers seem like they're definitely coming in.
I think Valkyrie Enforcer is the best card to bring in from the sideboard. I'm not sure if Copper Hall, Bailiff, or Assembly Line comes in. I think Assembly Line is just not that much of an all-star here.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I'd actually like to see the Copper Hall Bailiffs, if nothing else, because of right. Even if you're just running it into a wall, just getting a +1/+1 on a weapon can be a huge difference.
Yeah, Warcry is quite good in an Armory deck, especially when you're not running Artisans and things like that.
Yeah, so we are in the game. It looks like a Temple Scribe was played out on HiThar's turn 2. camat0 hasn't been able to set up much of anything just yet. Again, unfortunately, we have lost the hand. I'm checking to see if we can get it back. Doesn't look like it, but yeah.
I was thinking that HiThar was struggling on power, but he just top decked that Seal to play that Titan on curve, which definitely looks very good.
Yeah, so let's see from camat0's side if they can play suit. Like, they never want to lose any power, and I think that's pretty evident by the privilege rank that's in their deck. They just really, really, really want to get up to that 7 power. Here's the Rise of the Challenge. What do you think you're getting here?
I think it's going to be a clear Runehammer.
Yeah, that's what my money would be on too. Get that Sandstorm Titan out of the way. I think one of HiThar's best draws there would have been Obelisk, but
yeah, Obelisk is very good. Stand Together, I think, being the best draw.
Yeah, fair enough. I'm actually kind of surprised we didn't see that Combray Healer come down and buff the Sandstorm Titan. Plays into Vanquish, but okay, never mind. That's exactly why. He does have a Desert Mark in hand, and thanks to Ambush, he's going to be able to redirect that weapon swing.
And the cheeky silence on the Temple Scribe there.
Get that value. How about that Praxis Displacer? So, bringing those in. Now he's not getting no value out of it. Seems like a rookie mistake. I don't know.
Definitely.
So we see another time being drawn by HiThar. Gonna be able to play the Ironthorn. What's your opinion? Do you run Ironthorn out?
I think he's shown to play around Harsh Rule.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think he's gonna stop playing around Harsh Rule. So I don't think he plays Ironthorn here.
Yeah, that's completely fair.
Getting to a higher power when you're running a deck with 4 Great Parliaments and one of them's in your hand, pretty sure the extra power is valuable, more valuable than a Harsh Rule bait 5/5 when you're already very close to winning the game.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. I don't like playing out the Seraph here. Okay, we saw HiThar, mousing over the Seraph. If any, like, Martial Ironthorn has the upside of being able to like do silly things next turn if you top deck a power. Playing Seraph doesn't really do too much because you're still in a tier 2 clock. The Seraph doesn't actually increase that clock at all. For me, it would have been Martial Ironthorn or nothing.
Yeah, the game is going pretty fast here, and I think it's going to end in just a few turns. But there are a few things I want to talk about with camat0's deck. One being Privilege Rank, being actually a very good card when you don't have access to card draw.
Yep.
Because a lot of the time in a control deck, if you allot your power, like if you build your power base correctly, it's just draw 2 for 3, right? Wisdom of the Elders is a very good card. Obviously, it's not fast speed, but drawing 2 is still very good in a control deck.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and it's kind got a thinning effect. Obviously, how big of an impact is that thinning? It's not arbitrary, especially since the decks since it's just pulling it out of the deck, right? The deck's not actually getting reshuffled, so you do have that option of having those powers actually come off the top of the deck. So I think it's a little bit better. But yeah.
So Camat0 needs an answer right here, and he doesn't have it.
Yeah.
I think he's just playing out the. Oh, no, he's got a torch. Okay.
Yeah, torch. Okay.
He's still dead on board. He needs like another torch. Oh well, obelisk will say no.
He's not dead on board.
Oh, never mind. You're right.
Yeah, but now he is dead on board with the obelisk draw.
Yeah, 6 + 1 is indeed 7. I am very good at math, but obelisk makes me good at math again, so we're fine.
You might have those sweet plays, but at least I can math. That's.
I would argue that I don't even have the sweet plays, to be honest.
Or you got the good insights. So yeah, we're checking to see if we can get a.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a backup match coming. So with HiThar taking that round 2-0 over Camat0, in a rough matchup for Camat0, to be sure. That puts HiThar at 3-1, I believe, which puts him in pretty good contention for top 8.
We have 2 more rounds. Yeah, so
Or 2 more matches, you mean, or 2 more rounds?
2 more rounds after this.
Oh, okay. So there are 3 matches in the round. They're all very close to finishing, so we're just gonna let those play out. But let's talk for a second. I want to just go back to Camat0's deck. Soulfire Drake, I think, is very bad in that matchup because of exactly what happened that game. Camat0's deck is too slow to make use of Soulfire Drake, right? Like his plan is to sit around, stall out the ground, and then win in the air with the Carius. And that's Soulfire Drake is amazing redundancy for that.
Yeah, but I guess my rebuttal to that would be, if you are able to answer the Sandstorm Titan, it's something that can get in there relatively quickly. And you have a lot of, because I'm looking at Assembly Line. I completely agree with you. I don't think Assembly Line is exactly where you want to be. You are at least making room for the Valkyrie Enforcers. And then I feel like you can probably trim a little bit on your Sword of Icarias even. Because what is Sword of Icarias really doing?
Sword of Icarias loses a lot of value versus Cambrai, especially without Artisan and things to boost it. But okay, so Soulfire Drake is redundancy for the Caria plan, right? That's how you win. And I understand the thought process behind Assembly Line. Like you play Assembly Line and then you play Soulfire Drake and you have these 3 Trump blockers and your opponent's taking 5 a turn. They're like, I can't get through these Grenadin drones. What the heck? I'm taking 15 damage in there. But that's just not how it works out against a deck that can play as many units as Big Cambrai, play obelisks, and have silences and things like that. So I think the flaw wasn't necessarily Soulfire Drake or whatever. It's just the overall game plan is very weak to silences and Sandstorm Titan. I think just what Camat0 was trying to do there was very cleanly answered by what Big Cambrai just does naturally.
Yeah, this has been pretty interesting because especially as you know, Gabe, I grind ladder a lot. I haven't been seeing Big Cambrai. I've been that much recently. I've been seeing a lot more of the aggro Cambrai variants that have been popping up. Do you think we'll see a resurgence of Big Cambrai given that set 2 is out, or do you think we're going to start seeing a primal splash into Big Cambrai for things like Eileen's Choice?
Island Choice or Kothon or something, yeah. So that's actually something I've been experimenting with. I would like to take a little bit of credit for for doing well with obelisk-based Cambrai list, non Big Cambrai list, Mystic list Cambrai list, which I think at the end of set 1, which is what this tournament meta is, I think is close to a tier 1 deck. It's kind of like a sleeper deck.
Sure.
It's like something kind of like Rhino's lists, although I don't necessarily agree with the full Eager Owlet Tinker Overseer plan. But those lists have had a lot of success, and they're just not super popular. And I don't think they've gotten any worse with set 2.
Yeah, and I would definitely agree with that too. But I'm curious, when do you When are you taking credit for this? Because I was.
If you check out the top 8 of I forget what week it is, it's somewhere in the one where Rhino won.
Just I don't.
Like 3rd or 4th.
I'm just saying, is after beta, Camat0 aggro was the deck I used to grind ladders. So I feel like it's just been around a little bit. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so fair point. Camat0 aggro has been around for a while. I did not innovate anything in particular. I think I tuned the build to be more focused on going wide. People were calling it like an aggro deck, and I tuned it to be more of a mid-range deck. I brought in 4 parliaments, and I focused on getting to 8 power and just not playing harsh rule, just playing stand-togethers and parliaments and winning like that. And it has been very consistent. I got to masters several times with that deck.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, because the list that I'm thinking of definitely did not run any sort of great parliament. Obelisk is what set me off. So I had to, just gotta make sure keeping everybody honest. That's all.
Yeah,
it's not like
it's more like a Shimmer Pack style deck, but instead of Shimmer Pack, you play good cards.
I mean, or you could do the first if you go back and look at the top 8 of the first winning in for the first invitational, you might see some green roaches on in that list. I'm just saying.
Yes,
so
I remember that. I was very confused as to how you made it to that top 8.
Yeah, that list was great. That's all I'm gonna say. So I just
wanted to, in response to your original question, I think Calimdir does gain a little bit from the blue splash now. It's in a best of 3 particularly, right? That Primal is a very good sideboard faction, and Island Choice and Cthulhu are fine main deckable cards, and Big Calimdir doesn't mind pushing its influence a little bit, right? It has there's a lot of influence fixing in time.
Yes.
Whereas the Obelisk decks are a little more hard pressed to fit in the 3rd faction, just because they want to be playing cards like Awakened Student a lot of the time. And if you're flashing a 3rd faction, it becomes a lot more difficult. Is Cthulhu really better than Awakened Student? Is it? It's just I don't know if the lack of consistency is worth it.
Yeah, which is very true. And I also brings us back to my previous point is why would you play that when again you could just play green roaches, be in the same color set, have all the same cards, but be able to go over the top with a bunch of clock roaches. I might have a clock roach problem.
I think the round is almost over. I just want to go over the standings currently. So we had in the last round Tony G winning over level 13 David, and aReNGee winning over Ilunga, putting Tony G and aReNGee at a solid 4-0, which makes them, I think,
wow.
I think that guarantees them top 8 now.
Yes,
I could be wrong.
It should, because they're going to have the best breakers even if they were to lose next 2. Or they theoretically would have the best breakers, even if they were to lose the next 2. And I think, considering we're right at 32 players, getting us right at 60, right into 6 rounds, breakers there should be 2 X and 2s that get in. So they theoretically should be able to lose both their next rounds and still be in.
Yeah, and so at in the 3-1 contention, we have Skij, Eadway Onquit, Allen, HiThar now at 3-1, Ilunga dropping down to 3-1, and level 13 David dropping down to 3-1, and Voingnamir. Voingnamir is a well-known Rakano player. How's he been doing? Oh, I see. He just got a win this round. He was down. I think his loss was last round. Okay, to Ilunga actually.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of big names doing well.
Yeah, a lot of people, a lot of good players showed up to have a send off for set 1. We had a lot of fun with set 1. Set 1 is honestly a very robust set for one set. Like there's just a lot of decks available to play in this one set. Direwolf Digital did a very good job with set 1, honestly.
Yeah, especially not only just looking at constructed, but also the fact that draft, I was still happy to play draft at any given time the entire point through set 1 before set 2 released. I haven't even gotten a chance to play draft in set 2 yet, but just to be able to keep that fresh is pretty good. I don't know, at least that's my opinion. Who knows?
There are some contentious opinions about the set 1, set 2 split draft, but I haven't played too much of it, so I won't comment. But it is nice to play with a lot of new cards in draft.
Yeah.
The matchups that ended there, Reed and Tony G, I think those went about as expected. I think level 13 David on TJP, or no, Elysian midrange. There we go. Elysian midrange versus Felon Control. I think Felon Control wins that matchup like 60% of the time. It's just a 1-for-1 removal is pretty good against. I mean, level 13 David
Yeah.
is playing a Shimmer Pack variant, so it's a little less good. But you're playing against a deck with Lightning Storm, Witch, and 1-for-1 removal for the False Princes and Cersos and those type of cards that you're playing. So I think that that's kind of an expected result. And Ilunga playing the solid meme Oathbook Mono Justice, a Hero of the People deck, flying deck, running into Sandstorm Titan deck.
Yeah.
Goes 0-2. It's what you expect, but I still really impressive, and he still has a very good shot of making top 8.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get a chance to actually see that, but because it does sound like it. Actually, I guess we can look it up, the list here really quick. Because I'm pretty excited to just see what's going on with this Hero of the People. Okay, so there are 2 Hero of the People, Silverwing Familiar, Valkyrie Enforcer, Arnak Runehammer, Paladin Oathbrook, Eager Owlet. So realistically, it seems like Hero of the People is getting flying most of the time, but that's
flying in Aegis. It's a Flyers deck. He's got Mantle of Justice, correct?
Yes, Mantle of Might or Hammer of Might, Mantle of Justice. Yes, correct.
I know what I said.
Whoa. I don't. Clearly. It's clarifying for me. But it seems like an interesting deck as somebody that has toyed around with Mono Justice in the past and thought they had something. But
a common mistake.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you go, what was my record initially? It was like 23-5, and then I lost 8 in a row. So don't, kids, that goes to show you when you're testing a deck, make sure you're getting in at least 50 reps before you decide what if the deck is good or not.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff can happen in Bronze. But anyways, that's the end of the round. We're gonna close it up here. We're gonna go to a short break, and then we'll be back with round 5.
See y'all then.